times that I have it memorized. A young mother quietly walks behind her husband, cradling her tiny newborn in her arms. The dark-haired trio takes their seats in front of hundreds of news reporters. Camera crews from local and overseas televisions and radio stations crowd around them. They don't seem overwhelmed by all the press, and instead are too busy gazing down at their daughter to look up in order for photographers to get that perfect shot. The sound of the constantly clicking camera shutters is lulling the baby girl to sleep. She is 3 days old, and this will be her first, but not her last, press conference. I obviously don't remember the exact day because I was just a newborn, but I do remember watching that scene so many times. I actually watched it in a room full of doctors, reporters, and parents and children of IVF who were part of the first batch of 10 babies to come out of the clinic where I was born. I was about 5, sporting a bowl haircut and probably tights that I couldn't keep up, and black and white saddle shoes, basically the quintessential New England preppy, but like miniaturized. When the film got to the part where my doctor, Dr. Howard Jones, announced my birth, I remember looking over at him from beneath my heavy bangs and smiling, and then quickly looking back down at my shoes as if I needed to watch what was unfolding on the screen with some degree of reverence. Even at that young age, I knew this wasn't something this doctor got to announce every day with the entire world watching. This morning at 7:46 a.m., a daughter was born to Ms. Judith Carr, a 28-year-old school teacher, and the father, Mr. Roger Carr, a 30-year-old mechanical engineer, the footage played. I remember thinking that there was no way that little baby was me, because I was just an average little girl, and judging by all the fuss that people were making over this baby was special, and she was the first. When the documentary was finished, I remember everyone in the screening room turning around to see my reaction. That moment when all those people turned around to look at me, that's when it happened. That's when I was asked the weirdest question I've ever been asked. What did I think of watching a documentary on my own birth? For a 5-year-old, it's kind of a meta question. I remember fidgeting in my seat between my pioneering doctors and swinging my legs while I searched for a good answer. What did I, a little girl who was the central character of this history-making event, think of herself? Looking back on it, I know there's no actual good answer for such a bizarre question. The adult in me, the one with the outrageous sense of humor and tendency to go for big laughs, looks back and wants the 5-year-old to say something ridiculous like, "Where's my modeling contract?" Or, "What? Did we get the cheap seats?" But the 5-year-old with the bowl cut and the bunchy tights, of course, did not shout anything of the sort. Thank goodness, my mother would have been mortified. I think part of me must have known that everyone was looking at me to utter something poignant or profound about my own existence. Every reporter in the room that day had their eyes trained on me. They noted every fidget, every giggle, and every blank stare on my face. When it was over, I turned to my team of doctors who had surrounded me for the screening and answered that ridiculous question in the best way that I knew how, with my own simple question. Are all babies that slimy when they come out? Everyone laughed, and the reporters scribbled furiously. It was, of course, the perfect quote. Heck, it was almost normal. What I know now that I didn't know then is that every family going through infertility has a moment like that. A moment where it becomes clear that this is their normal. Today, I hope you all find a path to your normal, and you've got great resources here to do it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Elizabeth has actually generously offered to do some Q&A. So does anyone have any questions? Wow, a quiet group.
Come on, I wasn't that good.
No?
Are you still in touch with Dr. Jones?
Yes. Dr. Jones is, how old? 103? And still goes to the office every day, sharp as a tack. Still lobbying for insurance coverage in places that it doesn't happen. He calls every birthday and Christmas. He wants to Skype with my 3-year-old. He Skypes at 103. I mean, this is the kind of you know, he did IVF in his retirement from Johns Hopkins. So yeah, I'm still very much in touch with him. He's a wonderful, wonderful man.
I'm not sure how much you know about the new technology surrounding IVF, but what do you think about it? What do you think about what's happened over the past 30 years?
I think I can't keep up. I mean, my mother will tell you, just probably 6 or 7 years ago, we went to an opening of a new clinic in Virginia, and Mom and I got the tour, and just even taking the tour, it was incredible how efficient and how different the procedure is. You know, she'll tell you stories of having to lay in an uncomfortable position, like with a pressure on her neck to elevate certain parts, and you know, she could only have like a demi-task of coffee, and everything was so strict. And you know, now a lot of it's outpatient, and like I said, it's a lot more complicated. So there's a lot more choices, which is both fantastic and also just mind-boggling. I don't think if I had to go through infertility, you know, options and treatments, I really don't know where I would start. I think it's probably a good, if you ask my mother, I think she'll probably say it's probably a good thing that there weren't so many options back then. And I was just one egg, that was it. I mean, they put one in and here I am, so.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to say I think it's really nice that you honor your parents. So, you know, it took a lot of courage to do what you do, especially at the time that you did it. So I think all of us here, thank you.
Absolutely.
I was thinking that as an IVF mother, as someone who went through it, that you're a pioneer, that you did something for us, a lot of us in this room, that might not be happening if it weren't for you and bravery. So thank you. We're going to get Judy up there.
She's a good date.
Yes.
Great speech, so thanks for giving it.
Thank you.
Quick question regarding your encounters, if any, with naysayers out there, and if you have any encounters, how do you deal with that?
Oh, I've had plenty. You know, it's funny because
Just repeat the question.
Oh, she asked if I've encountered any naysayers and what do I say to them. And so, you know, especially being a journalist, it's not like I've gone on to live a, you know, quiet, very private life. And so it's very easy to find me. If you want to email me, my face and name and phone number are plastered all over various news websites all over the world. So I often get comments that, you know, I'm a child of the devil and, you know, things like that. And I always have the same reaction. I can understand, you know, really having a moral problem with not natural birth. I understand that from a logical or a religious standpoint. But really what it all comes down to is there were two people, my parents, who wanted to have a child. It didn't matter if that child was adopted. It didn't matter if that child was an IVF baby. It didn't matter how many years or how long it took. They just wanted to have a family. And that's what they got. And ultimately, to me, that's what I stress to people is that, you know, there's nothing more natural than wanting to have a family and become a mother. So, and you know, it's funny because people always ask me, did I have a normal child, which always cracks me up because I'm not normal. But I had a natural birth. I did not go through IVF or anything to have my son, but when I was little, I always thought that that's how you had kids. Like, it didn't occur to me that that wasn't the optimum way to have a child. I just figured I'd have an IVF baby, just like my parents did, you know, whatever. I'd go to Virginia. It just never dawned on me until I was at least like 13 that it was like, oh, right, okay, there's another way to do this. So.
I guess I have a comment.
Sure.
So I have a child that I carried and a child that I didn't carry. And there's that constant struggle of what is the child that I didn't carry going to think about the child I did carry? And so I think it's great how you instilled this sense of normalcy in her life. Like, this is normal for you, and you embrace it. So it's just refreshing to hear that whatever your normal is, it's accepted by the child. And so I think that's great for both of you.
Yeah, there's one question that I'm always asked every time I have an article or I go on television or something, and as a journalist it makes me cringe. I feel like it's a lazy question, which is, do you feel normal? And I always kind of look at the people, and part of me wants to be like, actually I have superpowers and there's an antenna in the back of my head, but I hide it. And then the other part of me, really thoughtfully thinks about it and says, well, I'm 31 years old, and it has always been this way for me. This is just my life. This is how it is. So what? This is just normal. That's all there is to it. Don't ask me if I feel normal, because I really don't know. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was amazing. And the one thing that I also find amazing, which you didn't mention, and think of this as you deal with your treatments. Judy had to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you had to go to the hospital 3 times a day to get your shots.
That is correct.
Go to the hospital 3 times a day to get your shots. I mean, we know how inconvenienced we are to go to the clinic and do testing. But again, the technology has changed drastically, and it's just amazing. It really is. So thank you again, Elizabeth. If you have, again, any questions, feel free to ask. Again, anyone with the Resolve New England button, we can help you. Your first session starts in 10 minutes, so if you want to grab a coffee, run to the restrooms. Coffee is right outside this door. Restrooms, if you head out this door and to the right, there's a set of glass doors right by our registration booth. To the left is the restrooms. That's the closest ones to here. Again, any of the rooms with a town name, you have to go through the lobby and down the hallway. And then Seminar and Princess are right here. Enjoy your